I want to know that if I am killed or I die suddenly, that my wife has a business that she can run to raise her children. I don't want a dollar of it. I got her set up so she can take care of herself. And like I told her teasingly, yet there's certain truth in jest, so that if you need to someday, you can find a real husband. So my wife takes care of it. She takes care of the money. She takes care of those sales. Every now and then she has one. But it's a business deal. And simply because I do business with a Jewish diamond firm doesn't mean I'm a Masonic labor Jewish Zionist. Those of you who've listened to my broadcasts over the years know that I hate the Pope's Masonic Jewish labor Zionist government ruling Israel. Just as much as I hate the Pope's radical Red Republican Party and the radical Socialist Communist Democratic Party that is involved in running this country. Just as I hate the Russian Soviet Party that runs that country for the Pope. Just as I hate the German political parties, the Social Democrats running Germany for the Pope. I'm for the Hebrew Jewish Israelitish people to their right to be in the land. I've always defended their right to live there. It is their land to the exclusion of every Arab, to the exclusion of every white Gentile, to the exclusion of every black man, to the exclusion of every Oriental Chinaman. The Jews have a right. The Hebrew Jewish Israelites have a right, a God-given right to their land, and I defend it every time I'm asked about it. But I am not like John Hagee, who defends not only their right to the land, but protects that damnable government working for the Pope. And that's the difference. So I will continue to attack the Pope's Masonic Jewish labor Zionists who run that country, while I will bless the Hebrew Jewish Israelitish people who are racially Jews living in Israel, except for maybe 20% or so, and their right to live in their land. And when that government wants to submit to a righteous Gentile government, because it will always be submitted to some Gentile government during the diaspora, when it wants to cease being submitted to the Pope, then I will back that government, just like I will back my government when it ceases to be subject to the Pope. So I hope that answers the issue. Now, with regard to the debate I had with Michael Collins Piper, it was my first debate. I thought a debate was an organized, structured series of questions put to each debatee, and each person would have his own time to answer the question without being interrupted, without being personally attacked. That is not a debate. So here is what I will offer. I now have my own broadcast. I will offer anybody, Michael Collins Piper, Eric Hupschmidt, Tex Mars, Webster Tarpley, I don't care who you are. All of you that advocate that the Jews run the world, you contact me and you and I will have a debate. And I promise you, even though it's my broadcast, I will not interrupt you. I will not attack you. There will be no ad hominem attacks on my part to you. I will let you make your point in answer to the question I put forth, and then I will make my point. And a debate is always for the benefit of the listener. It is not to stroke the ego of those in the debate. So therefore, I offer all of you, Alex Jones, Jack Blood, I don't care who you are. If you want to have a debate, Jeff Rentz, come on my program. And we will debate whether the Jews run the world or whether white Gentiles serving the Pope run the world and have as their little servants, their little shoe boys, the Pope's court Jews. So it's an open invitation. I don't hate any of you men. I hate what you have said, and I hate what you do. But I don't hate you, and I desire that you truly believe the Bible, that you truly come to repentance, and that you either knowingly or unknowingly stop serving the Pope. And this goes for you too, Alfred Webre. I just called you a Jesuit temporal coadjutor. I put it in my newsletter. It's going up on my site. And when you want to stop promoting the program of world government and world federalism, then I will cease my charge. And if I don't do this, and allow this anti-Jewish fury to continue to surge to the end that we have a military dictator that's going after the Jews, it will be my fault and every other person's fault who refused to come to their defense and aid, justifying that they have a right to that land and a right to live there. And that the Jews are not responsible for the destruction of Wall Street. Now, I want to move to the blacks. Since you black men don't have any leaders that I know of that are really defending you, I'm going to defend you. I'm going to give you a little hand here. Even though you've committed so many millions of black-on-white crimes, and that the vast majority of you blacks are savages, and that the vast majority of you hate us white men, I want to do something for you. Because I don't want to see you unjustly rounded up and mass murdered. Did you know that a policy was set forth in the 1990s to all the major lending institutions for mortgages to not question any black applicants as to their ability to repay? Even Charles Krauthammer will tell you this on Fox News, that the blacks were given mortgages under the guise of stopping racism, when in fact they could not repay the mortgages that were being extended. Do you find something fishy there? Why would a bunch of white men serving the Pope, who hate the blacks in general, extend credit and mortgages to blacks that they knew they couldn't repay the mortgage? I will tell you why. Because they are going to blame the blacks in general for the collapse of Wall Street, because after all, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and probably Countrywide extended credit and mortgages to blacks that couldn't be repaid. And after all, it's the savage, it's the nigger's fault, isn't it? Well, it's partially the black man's fault. He should have known he couldn't repay. But it's absolutely the white man's bank fault that they extended the credit to the blacks to set them up, to blame them for this fall. It's the same way with the Mexicans. The alien invading Roman Catholic Mexicans. They got mortgages too. Bank of America opened accounts for them without a Social Security number, which I would love to be delivered of. And when everything crashes, now the Mexicans, all the Mexicans, all the American Mexicans, as well as the alien invading savage Mexicans, they're all going to be blamed for this too. So now the white people are to be united in their rage and in their anger against all the blacks and all the Mexicans because of the failure of Wall Street to justify the roundup of the blacks, the roundup of the Mexicans, to send them to concentration camps. I think that's what their design really is. It's brilliant. Only wicked white men could think of it. Wicked white men serving the Pope. So we dealt with the blacks, we dealt with the Mexicans, and lastly the Jews. It was Larry Silverstein that bought the World Trade Center, came down, pulled the building, and he got the insurance policy. The Jews benefit. The Mossad dances on the top of a van. Why, it's the Jews that did it. Greenspan and Bernanke, they're the head of the Fed. They did it. The Jesuits putting their Jews in high visible places will now use the press to ultimately blame them for it all. And I, for one, am not going along with it. I, for one, have done the research and the investigation in my book, Vatican Assassins, Wounded in the House of My Friends, to show by hundreds of quotes that this is not the true picture. And why am I telling you this? Because my motivation is love. It may get me killed, But my motivation is love, so that you know someone somewhere told you the truth about these matters. And again, the debate's open.